Have you tried a Bordeaux blend recently that you couldn't wait to tell your friends about? Well, chances are, if you've been to Avennia Wines in Woodinville, Washington, this has certainly been an experience for you, I'm sure. This is Suzi Perez, founder of Vinmaps, cartographer, wine explorer, and wine lover. And I was recently asked which wines I really enjoy. And of course, I love all kinds of wines. Our last series of videos was all about sparkling wines, but I do love a good still wine, Sauvignon Blanc, Riesling, what have you. And I do love a good red. And certainly Avennia came to mind when I was thinking about, well, it's Taste Washington Wine Month, all of March. It still is March as of this shoot. Well, wouldn't it be fun to do a feature on Avennia? I've always enjoyed visiting there. I've visited Avennia wines several times, and I've seen them at Taste Washington in person prior to the COVID situation, and I've always enjoyed their wines. They've always been consistently high quality. One thing I wanted to share with you is that Avennia focuses on Bordeaux and Rhone style wines, so running the gamut of whites and reds, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Syrah, Mourvedre, Grenache. They do a nice Sauvignon Blanc as well, and just all kinds of different blends and the gamut of whites and reds. They can handle it all. So today I chose the 28 Sestina Cabernet Sauvignon, Columbia Valley. It's a Left Bank Bordeaux style blend. And the 2018 I in particular was interested in trying, as 2018 was a really special year for Washington wine growers as well as winemakers. There was a lot of heat, but it wasn't overly hot. And apparently the early fall temperatures were on the cooler side, which lended to just capturing those wonderful fruit flavors as well as the acidity in the wines that we love. So join me as I delve into a little bit of the Avennia backstory, and then we'll talk about vineyard sources of this wine in particular, and then we'll do some tasting. Okay, so let's get into some of the backstory of Avennia. And so enter Marty Taucher, enter Chris Peterson. And the winery was started in 2010. Marty Taucher is managing partner of Avennia, and Chris Peterson is, of course, winemaker and partner. So from everything I've read about these two interesting individuals, it does seem like their meeting was rather serendipitous. Starting with Marty, he spent many years as a Microsoft executive, and during that time he had the chance to travel the world and became more and more interested in wine. And as he left, his interest in wine had just grown through the years. As he retired from Microsoft, he decided, well, I'm going to do something with this wine passion I have. And he did kind of get into some independent consulting at first. And he thought, well, I can work on my golf game. Maybe I can take drumming to the next level, because he really enjoys drumming apparently. But ultimately, unlucky for us, he made a decision. He's a decision maker, seems like. He decided he wanted to start a winery. So he set about educating himself further, enrolled at South Seattle Community College's wine program, and graduated from there. And well, actually prior to graduating from there, he did an internship, and guess where? Yes, DeLille Cellars, Woodinville, and guess who hired him? Chris Peterson. So, meanwhile, yes, our other character in the play here, Chris Peterson, had many years prior graduated from University of Washington, and he had studied abroad in Poitiers, France, while a student at University of Washington. And while in France that first time, he really started to kind of notice the day-to-day living here. All was sort of steeped and surrounded by wine, and he began to become much more interested in wine, apparently, and started obsessively reading everything he could about it, from winemaking to the vineyards, the viticulture, everything. He eventually ended up quite happily with an assistant winemaking position with DeLille Cellars in Woodinville. He spent 8 vintages working alongside Chris Upchurch, renowned winemaker in his own right. And so he learned a lot from Chris Upchurch during that time. So getting back to Chris and Marty, in 2009, Chris had hired Marty and they were setting about working on 2009 Crush for DeLille. And they became fast friends, as it turns out, and they would sometimes spend time after work at Fiddler's Inn pub in Seattle. And during one of these outings, Marty showed Chris his business plan for starting a winery. And Chris looked at it, reviewed it, thought it was pretty good, except he's like, well, where are you going to source your fruit and who's your winemaker? Can't start a winery without either one of those. So he then, through further conversation or what have you, sort of volunteered himself for this position of winemaker at this new winery that had not yet started. So they decided to start a winery together. And in 2010, by the end of 2010, they had secured very high quality fruit from some of the top vineyards in Eastern Washington. And in 2012, they released their first vintage and they were off to the races. So pretty cool. So with this, let's get into the wine here. With this Sestina, it is a Left Bank Bordeaux blend. It is composed of 76% Cabernet Sauvignon, 17% Merlot, and 7% Cab Franc. So with this and with all of their wines, they really try to be consistent from year to year, vintage to vintage. And so they use consistent vineyard sites for the Avennia, and we'll get into those in a moment here. First, I wanted to go ahead and pour some of this, and I've had this decanting for quite a while here. Let's see if I can give it a nice pour here. Gorgeous. Put this back here. Ooh, beautiful. Ah, a little whiff of heaven there. Okay. So what are the vineyard sources of this beautiful Sestina 2018? As I mentioned before, it is composed of 76% Cabernet Sauvignon, 17% Merlot, and 7% Cabernet Franc. And within the Cabernet Sauvignon piece of this, Chris Peterson has broken it down even further. So 41% comes from the Red Willow Vineyard, and we'll show some maps to get you oriented here. 21% from Dionysus Vineyard, and 14% from Bacchus Vineyard. And the Merlot component of the wine is from Red Willow, and the vineyard source for the Cab Franc, Bacchus Vineyard. Okay, how fun. Get to try this gorgeous Sestina. Now, I actually did stand this upright for a couple of days prior to opening it, and I did taste sort of the T0 times 0. I opened it up and poured just to see what that was like. And my notes say, first look, medium to dark depth of color, ruby. I like to try my wines. I don't like to swirl first. I like to just see what presents first and then swirl. So there wasn't much going on without the swirl for this, but you know. First swirl, immediately started to get roasting spices, but everything was really tight still. I got a little bit of soil. After just 10 minutes though, I started to get a little red fruit. Then I tasted after a couple of hours after decanting, and it definitely opened up the aroma and flavor profile. I got light clove, baking and roasting spice, deep red fruits, red plum, got some black plum, blackberry, flint, and finish had already lengthened, very smooth. So, and that brings us to now, a little tasting notebook there. But I wanted to Definitely getting soil, minerality, baking spices, vanilla, lots of red and black fruit. Maybe a hint of, yes, that's alpine flowers, alpine roses. Wow. So this can go through, stay in your cellar through 2045, according to Chris Peterson. And yeah, it's very powerful, very robust. Tannins, acid, everything. You can see those legs. Well, I can. Beautiful. So I did want to talk about, though, before we do any more tasting. This is 14.5% alcohol by volume as well. So stay at home and drink this at home, or take it to a friend's house, but do the Uber home, if you will. Winemaking, we have native yeast fermentation going on. So using native yeasts may play a role in preserving and expressing the vineyard and regional character of the wine, and may also increase a wine's complexity and quality. So that's kind of interesting. This was aged in 48% new French oak for 20 months. It was bottled unfined and unfiltered, and that is a whole nother topic of conversation. But again, this is Peterson's kind of more hands-off approach, less tech. One of the things that he mentioned in one of the pieces I saw was that his mentor, Chris Upchurch, while he was at DeLille, really stressed that, it's really all about the fruit. I mean, yes, you have to know how to make the wine, of course, and understand the chemistry of it and all of that, but less tech can be a good thing. And really the most important thing is the terroir of those grapes and the quality of those grapes going into the wine. So again, on the decanting piece, this allows for the flavors and aromas that were dormant and bottled to expand. And yeah, so this is a beautiful wine, excellent quality, not surprisingly. Is Wine Explorer and Wine Lover approved. Beautiful dark fruit. Lots of different spices going on there. Vanilla. It's a beautiful wine. And the 2019 of this and their Valerie is now released. Valerie is their Right Bank Bordeaux blend. So more of the Merlot going on. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this exploration into Avennia and their Sestina Bordeaux Left Bank blend. And next time we'll be delving into another very high quality winemaker and winehouse story, Fidelitas. So stay tuned for that, and cheers again, and thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this, we'd love a like and subscribe. We don't do videos every single day, but I hope that the ones that we do are full of fun information and interesting wines. So thank you again for watching, everyone, and cheers to you and yours, and cheers to Taste Washington.